The station floated where nothing was supposed to float. It was not on any major map. It sat between trade routes, between borders, between places that mattered to the larger galaxy. Humans called it Hollow Reach, not because it was empty, but because it existed in a gap no one else cared to fill. Elias Verne had been assigned there for 3 years. He was not a soldier. He was not a commander. He did not even pretend to be important. He was a xenolinguist, which meant his job was to listen more than he spoke and to notice things other species ignored. Humans were good at that. They noticed cracks, pauses, and silences. They noticed when something felt unfinished. The aliens who shared the station found this strange. To them, the universe was complete. It had rules. It had cycles. Everything that could exist already did. Their sciences were advanced, their histories long, and their confidence absolute. They believed discovery was about measuring what already was, not finding something new. Elias did not argue with them. He had learned early that arguing rarely changed minds. Instead, he observed. Every day followed the same pattern. The lights adjusted. The hum of the station remained steady. The stars outside did not shift in ways that mattered. Predictability was comforting to most of the crew, but Elias felt something else. It began as a quiet sense that the space outside one particular observation corridor was wrong. Not dangerous, not broken, just waiting. The corridor was unused. No instruments were installed there anymore because nothing unusual had ever been detected. The view showed a stretch of empty space with no nebulae, no stellar movement, and no gravitational anomalies. It was, by all definitions, nothing. Elias stood there often, hands behind his back, watching. He could not explain why. On the 47th day of the third cycle that year, he noticed the first change. It was not visual. The stars did not move. The darkness did not shift. But the silence felt heavier, like the pause before someone speaks. Elias activated his recorder and spoke softly, more to himself than to anyone else. Log entry. Corridor 7 still shows no measurable activity, but I feel anticipation. He stopped the recording and let out a quiet breath. Feeling anticipation in space was not scientific. He knew that. Still, the feeling remained. Later that day, during a shared analysis session, he mentioned it. There is an area of the station that feels incomplete, Elias said carefully. The Keth observer tilted its elongated head. Define incomplete. I can't, Elias admitted. That's the problem. The others exchanged glances. One of them produced a soft clicking sound that Elias had learned meant polite dismissal. Human intuition again, one said. Your species assigns meaning where none exists. Elias smiled faintly. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it was. That night, unable to sleep, he returned to the corridor. The lights dimmed automatically as he entered, responding to his presence. The empty space beyond the transparent barrier looked the same as always, and yet his chest tightened. He stepped closer. The glass was cold beneath his palm. He rested his hand there, feeling foolish and strangely calm at the same time. "Hello," he said quietly. Nothing happened. He almost laughed at himself and turned to leave. That was when the air changed. Not the temperature, not the pressure. Something deeper. The sense of distance folded in on itself like a thought reaching inward. The space in front of him shimmered. It was subtle. So subtle that any sensor would have dismissed it as interference. But Elias saw it clearly. A line appeared. Not light, not darkness. A division, a door. It had no handle, no frame. It was simply a separation between what was and what could be. Elias did not move for a long time. His mind raced through procedures, warnings, and protocols. He should report this. He should alert the station. He should back away. Instead, he spoke. "I don't know who you are," he said, "but you're welcome." The line widened. The door opened. There was no explosion of light, no rush of sound. The opening revealed something that did not hurt the eyes but made the heart ache. It looked like a horizon made of memory and promise. Colors that did not exist blended gently into one another. Time felt softer there, less strict. And then a voice. It was not loud. It did not echo. It simply was. "You opened it," she said. Elias swallowed. His legs felt weak, but he did not step back. "I didn't know it was locked," he replied. There was a pause, thoughtful and warm. "It has been," she said, "for a very long time." "Who are you?" Elias asked. "I am not a who," she answered, "but your language requires one." Elias nodded slowly. "Then what should I call you?" Another pause. This one felt like a smile. "You may call me the season," she said. "The season of what? Becoming." The word settled into him like a seed. "I didn't mean to disturb anything," Elias said. "You did not disturb," she replied. "You invited." The door widened slightly, enough that Elias felt as though he was standing at the edge of something vast. "Why now?" he asked. "Because your kind still opens doors without knowing what is on the other side," she said. "Most stopped doing that long ago." Elias thought of the other species on the station, their certainty, their finished maps of reality. "What happens now?" he asked. "My season awakens," she said simply. The lights flickered behind him. Alarms did not sound, but systems recalibrated quietly. Across the station, instruments struggled to classify minor changes they could not name. Elias remained where he was. "Is this dangerous?" he asked. "No," she said, "but it is different." He nodded. Humans had always been good at different. "Will others see you?" he asked. "In time," she replied, "but not because of machines." The door began to narrow. "Wait," Elias said quickly. "Will you come back?" "I never left," she said. "I was waiting." The door closed without a sound. The corridor returned to silence. Elias stood there long after it was gone, heart racing, mind full, knowing something irreversible had begun. Elsewhere on the station, an alien scientist paused, confused by a fluctuation that made no sense. Across distant systems, dormant stars pulsed just a little brighter, and the universe, long convinced it was finished, felt the first quiet stretch of a new season beginning. Elias did not sleep after that night. He tried. He lay on his bunk, eyes closed, breathing slow, following the routines he had learned during long station rotations. But every time his mind drifted, it returned to the door, to the voice, to the word she had used so gently, like it had always belonged there: becoming. When the station lights shifted to morning cycle, Elias rose and prepared for duty as if nothing had changed. He dressed, checked his terminal, and reviewed translation notes. Outwardly, he was calm. Inside, he felt like someone who had stepped onto moving ground. As he walked through the main corridor, he noticed small things others ignored. The station's hum was slightly out of rhythm. Not wrong, just less rigid. A plant in the shared recreation bay had unfurled a leaf that should not have opened for another cycle. An alien engineer paused longer than usual before responding to a routine question, as if searching for a word that did not exist. Elias said nothing. During the first analysis meeting of the cycle, the change could no longer be avoided. A senior observer adjusted their display, repeating a scan 3 times. "This variance should not be possible," they said. "What variance?" another asked. "A background fluctuation across multiple spectrums. It is small but consistent." Elias kept his eyes on his console. "It resembles the early indicators of stellar development," someone added. "But there is no cause." Silence followed. Finally, one of them turned toward Elias. "Human Vern, you spend time in the outer observation corridors. Have you noticed anything unusual?" Elias hesitated. He thought of procedures, of containment rules, of how other species treated the unknown as a flaw to be corrected. "I have noticed curiosity," he said carefully. Several heads tilted. "Explain." "The universe feels like it is asking a question," Elias said. Not breaking a rule. That earned him the sound of restrained irritation. "Questions are irrelevant," an observer replied. "Only answers matter." Elias met their gaze. "For humans, questions come first." The meeting ended without resolution, but the scans continued. And the fluctuations did not stop. Over the next few cycles, reports spread quietly through interstellar channels. Crops on settled worlds showed unexpected resilience. Long stable stars emitted patterns that matched early formation stages, not decay. Artists among several species reported dreams they could not translate into their usual symbolic frameworks. Most dismissed these things as coincidence. Humans did not. On Earth and its colonies, researchers noticed the same background changes. They did not panic. They compared notes, argued theories, and asked impossible questions. Human networks buzzed with speculation, wonder, and cautious excitement. Elias received a private message from a Human Science Council liaison. "We are detecting low-level universal plasticity," the message read. "Have you encountered anything unusual at Hollow Reach?" Elias stared at the words for a long time before responding. "Yes," he typed, "but it doesn't want to be measured yet." The reply came slowly. "Understood." That was another human trait, knowing when not to push. That night Elias returned to the corridor. The door was not visible. He did not expect it to be. Still, he stood in the same place, hands relaxed at his sides, and spoke softly. "I'm here." The space responded not with light but with presence. "You are listening," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "I was hoping you would come back." "I am unfolding," she replied. "It takes time." "Others are noticing," Elias said. "They're afraid." "Fear is not wrong," she said. "It is a sign of care." He considered that. "They might try to close the door." "They cannot," she said gently, "not once it has been opened by choice." Elias leaned against the railing, feeling the station beneath his feet. "What exactly is your season?" She did not answer right away. "When the universe was young," she said at last, "it changed freely. Forms tried and failed. Stars were born in many ways. Life explored without permission." "And then?" Elias asked. "Then minds arose that desired certainty," she said. "They fixed what worked. They ended what did not. Progress slowed. Stability replaced growth." "That sounds reasonable," Elias said. "It was," she agreed, "for a time." "So you were locked away," he said. "I was set aside," she corrected. "Until someone remembered how to open a door without knowing the outcome." Elias thought of humanity's long history, of mistakes made chasing curiosity, of wonders found by accident. "Why us?" he asked. "Because you are unfinished," she said, "and you are not ashamed of it." The words settled deep. The next day, the station council convened an emergency session. The data was undeniable now. Reality itself was showing adaptive behavior, not chaos, not collapse, adaptation. "This threatens universal predictability," an elder observer declared. "If systems are no longer fixed, governance becomes impossible." "Or more meaningful," Elias said quietly. All eyes turned to him. "You know something," the observer accused. Elias took a slow breath. "I know that the universe is not breaking, it's stretching." "That is unacceptable," another said. "We must isolate the cause." They began outlining containment proposals: energy fields, reality anchors, experimental dampening zones. Elias felt cold. That night he stood before the invisible door again. "They want to stop you," he said. "They want safety," she replied. "That is understandable." "Will it hurt you?" he asked. "No," she said, "but it will hurt them." "How?" "They will remain still," she said, "while everything else learns to move again." Elias closed his eyes. "What do you want from us?" She was silent for a long time. "I want you to keep asking," she said, "to keep opening doors, even when others beg you to stop." "That's a heavy burden," Elias said. "You have carried it before," she replied. "You crossed oceans. You left your world. You spoke to the stars." He thought of Earth, small and bright and stubborn. "I don't know if we can convince the others," he said. "You do not need to," she said. "You only need to be human." The next cycle, humans across known space began doing what they always did when faced with the unknown. They shared stories, not data, stories. Explorers spoke of feeling possibility in empty space. Farmers spoke of soil that responded differently when treated with care. Scientists spoke openly about not knowing and how that excited them. Other species listened, confused and uneasy. But some felt something stir. A young alien apprentice admitted in private that they had dreamed of building something new, not because it was needed, but because it felt right. An elder artist found their hands moving in unfamiliar patterns. The season spread quietly, not as force, as permission. Elias stood in the corridor once more, watching the stars shimmer with subtle potential. "Your season is awakening," he said softly. "Yes," she replied. "Because you opened the door." "And what happens next?" he asked. The space around him felt warm. "Now," she said, "the universe remembers how to grow." The universe did not change all at once. It changed the way dawn comes to a quiet town, slowly, gently. So softly that many did not notice until the light was already there. Elias felt it in his bones before any instrument confirmed it. The station no longer felt like a machine floating in space. It felt like a place that was awake. He continued his duties as before. He translated, he observed, he listened. But now when others spoke, there was something new behind their words. A pause, a curiosity, sometimes even doubt. Doubt had once been unthinkable. Reports flowed in from across known space, not of disaster, not of collapse, but of small, impossible things. Long-dead research paths suddenly producing results. Cultures that had repeated the same traditions for thousands of years quietly changing a detail, then another. Children of several species asking questions their elders had never asked themselves. The councils struggled. They held meeting after meeting, trying to define what was happening so they could control it. They named it an anomaly, then a phase shift, then a problem. Humans named it something else. They called it a chance. Elias received messages from Earth and the colonies every cycle now. Scientists, poets, engineers, teachers, all asking different questions but all circling the same idea. What if the universe was not finished? On the station, tension grew. Some of the elder observers demanded action. They proposed building a universal stabilizer, a network designed to return reality to its previous fixed state. It would not destroy anything, they claimed. It would only prevent further change. Elias listened in silence as they spoke. When they finished, one of them turned to him. "Human Vern, you have been quiet." He nodded. "I am thinking." "Then speak." Elias stood. He did not raise his voice. "You believe stability is safety," he said. "But stability without growth is just a longer ending," murmurs spread. "You risk everything we have built," an observer said. "No," Elias replied, "we risk becoming more than we planned. That is unacceptable." Elias met their gaze. "To humans, it always has been acceptable. And we survived because of it." The meeting ended with no agreement. Construction plans began anyway. That night, Elias went to the corridor, his heart heavy. "They're going to try to lock you away again," he said. She was already there, not visible but present. "I know," she said. "Can you stop them?" Elias asked. "Yes," she replied. Relief rushed through him. "Will you?" "No," the word surprised him. "Why not?" he asked. "Because this must be a choice," she said, "not a victory." Elias closed his eyes. "If they succeed, what happens?" "The season will sleep," she said, "and the universe will forget again. And if they fail, then nothing will ever be fully certain again," she said. "Not for anyone." Elias laughed softly. "That sounds like home." She felt closer then, like standing beside him. "You carry fear and hope together," she said. "That is why your kind matters." The next cycle, the construction began. Massive frameworks unfolded in space, designed to anchor reality into predictable patterns. Other species supported it out of fear. Some remained silent. Humans protested, not with force but with refusal. Human engineers declined to participate. Human pilots refused to transport key components. Human scientists published open letters across the network, not attacking, but asking one simple question. Why are we so afraid of becoming something new? The question spread faster than any argument. On the station, younger members of other species began hesitating. One delayed a calibration. Another forgot to authorize a shipment. Doubt crept into perfect systems. Elias watched it happen with quiet wonder. Still, the stabilizer neared completion. On the final cycle, Elias stood once more before the place where the door had been. "I don't know what else to do," he said. "You have already done it," she replied. The stabilizer activated. For a moment nothing happened. Then the universe held its breath. Stars dimmed slightly. The background hum of existence tightened like a muscle bracing. Elias felt a deep sadness as if a story was being interrupted. And then, a child on a distant world asked a question no one could ignore. A human explorer changed course, not for profit or orders but curiosity. An alien artist released a piece of work that broke every rule of their culture. The stabilizer flickered, not because it was weak, because choice was stronger. The system tried to lock reality into place, but it could not override millions of small decisions made freely. Curiosity bent around the anchors. Creativity slipped through the gaps. The stabilizer shut down on its own. Across the councils, panic turned into silence. Nothing collapsed, nothing burned. The universe simply relaxed. Elias felt warmth spread through the corridor. "It's done," he whispered. "Yes," she said. "You left the door open." "Will you stay?" he asked. "I am not a thing that stays or leaves," she said. "I am what happens when someone dares to begin." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "What happens to us now?" "You will struggle," she said. "You will fail, you will grow, again and again." "That sounds hard." "It is," she agreed. "And beautiful." In the cycles that followed, the universe did not become chaotic, it became alive. Civilizations changed slowly but meaningfully. Not all welcomed it. Some withdrew, some adapted, some transformed. Humans did what they had always done. They explored, they asked. They opened doors. Elias eventually left Hollow Reach. His work there was done. Others could listen now. Others could notice the unfinished edges of reality. As his ship departed, he looked back once more at the quiet stretch of space where it had all begun. He smiled. The universe was no longer a closed book, and humanity, unfinished and unafraid, had reminded it how to turn the page.